What is a realistic expectation from Brandin Podziemski in his third NBA season? Kylen Mills on the show today to break it all down.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast.
What are they going to say now?
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is the good word, everyone? Welcome to the Locked On Warriors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com, and you will get 50% off your first year. My name's Charlie Walter, formerly at 95.7 The Game in the Bay Area. Also covered the team on TV, CBS News Bay Area. Kylen Mills joins the program today. She was at Cron 4, NBC Sports Bay Area. You can hear her on Big Ten, Ion, a bunch of different places on the linear platform and on digital at this point. Good to see you, Kylen. You can check out the show on YouTube and wherever you get your audio podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us. Give us that thumbs up, and we're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Kylen, off-season continues. We've gotten into college football season, and we have seen nothing from the Warriors. So much for Sham's craziest off-season ever that he said, because it's not really, I mean, the Warriors obviously the poster child, but it's been quiet for a minute now in the NBA.
Yeah, I definitely would not have called this the craziest offseason league-wide in the NBA. Shams maybe was a little too big for his britches with that comment. But yeah, the Warriors have been disappointing. Obviously, the only team in the league to not make any offseason moves. So it's time, I guess, for us as analysts of this team to start diving into the players that are on this roster, because at this point, I don't think we should anticipate any changes. I mean, at this point, prepare to go to battle with the guys that you have. And we've heard this front office to continue to say that they're happy with who they have on this roster. Does that mean that we couldn't see changes before the trade deadline? I think we most certainly could. But at this point, as we're looking ahead to the season getting underway in October, what we got is what we got. And I don't know what's gone wrong with some of these different, like an Al Horford type who the Warriors were tied to. Like, dude couldn't make a decision. Like, I don't like what happened in that situation.
It's just Kaminga.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just Kaminga, but still, you expected something to have happened by now. But let's get into today's topic, because like I said, I just think we got to start looking and diving deeper to the guys that are on this roster, because at this point, don't anticipate seeing any new faces, at least not at the start of the season.
We're going to the P's. Gary Payton II, we'll start with that. He's expected to sign, as is the offseason is expected to be Payton. It's expected to be Al Horford and DeAnthony Melton, amongst maybe others. Also signing Will Richard, per reports, is the expectation once that Kaminga situation is situated. Brandin Podziemski, Quentin Post, other P's on this roster that have, I mean, they need to have big expectations coming into this season if the Warriors want to be at their best, with their inability to really get a ton better from the outside, minus Horford and Melton, the names we just named. But what does Brandin Podziemski need to do to you, or for you rather, to make himself as valuable as he possibly can next season, to where you're satisfied with his role realistically? I mean, I know he has some Jalen Brunson tendencies, but let's not get carried away year three.
One big area for improvement for Brandin Podziemski, in my eyes, is just to get more consistent with the outside shot. In college, in his sophomore season at Santa Clara, he shot nearly 44% from beyond the arc. When you watch him, he's got a good looking stroke. The technique is on point, maybe like a tiny bit slow in release, like, slow compared to someone like Steph Curry in terms of, you want that really quick release so you can get the ball out of your hands before you really get attacked by a closeout. But all in all, I think has a really good looking shot. There were just too many times in the season, and especially come the postseason, where he was inconsistent with it. I know this is something we've talked about before, but just run through Brandin Podziemski's shooting stats from the couple of playoff series the Warriors took part in this past season. Against the Minnesota Timberwolves, 0 for 4 from deep, 1 for 4, 1 for 4, 1 for 5. That was 4 of the 5 games in that series. The Warriors cannot afford to have a shooting guard on the floor who cannot shoot. And then even from the floor, he wasn't even making the twos. 3 of 14 in one of these games, 1 of 10, 4 of 9's a little better, 1 of 7. So it's not even just the 3 ball. It's any shot at all outside of anything under the rim. And that has to be an area of improvement or a focal point for him coming into the season. Same thing with the Houston Rockets series. It was just very inconsistent. 1 of 7 from beyond the arc, 1 of 6, 0 of 2. 3 of 8, a little bit better. And then he had 1 or 2 games where he got really hot. But he's a player that you need to be able to rely on in the postseason as your shooting guard / point guard alongside Steph Curry. If those two continue to start together, I think the reason why they like Podz alongside Steph Curry is the fact that he can facilitate and handle the basketball. Steph can also facilitate and handle the basketball. There's a little bit of interchangeability in terms of who's playing the 1, who's playing the 2. But he has to be able to knock down shots at a more consistent rate. On the season, the 3-ball or his 3-point percentage was pretty good, but I just especially look at in crunch time. There just were a lot of games where he went cold, and I just look at the postseason where he went cold. And his potential as a shooter. One thing I saw from him is that when he was slumping, he was slumping. Like when he was missing shots and he was cold, he wasn't just cold. He was Antarctica freezing, Chuck.
He can be volatile.
Like, he was throwing up bricks. Like I can specifically remember shots where you're like, oh my gosh, he's not even close to the rim. He's chucking it off the backboard. And it's just like, where did the shooting go? So it seems like he gets spooked when he gets a little bit colder, maybe gets rattled. You start to see more hesitation before he shoots. And then I also think at times you can see him force up shots almost more when he's missing than when he's making them. Podz to me is not a player who's great in terms of hitting off the dribble. And I think he needs to be, careful about choosing the right moments for that. And I feel like sometimes when he's slumping, he almost tries too hard to go the other direction. Like, okay, well now I'm going to make up for it, but I'm going to create my own shot and do all this dribbling and then chuck up a shot. And it's like, no, that's not helping your case at all. But point number 1 for me is going to be more consistent outside shooting, both inside and outside the arc, as we saw him slump quite a bit in the postseason in that category.
Interesting you brought up the 44% from Santa Clara. It's almost like we have to convince ourselves that Podz is a good shooter, and sometimes we do that with lefties, right? I mean, yeah. Moley, we got the legends out there, the lefties. Little Chuck Wald, I got a little lefty stroke. Some people would say that, I cradle it with 2 hands, but, I plead the 5th on that one. Kylen, I think it's good form. You've seen it. But lefties, sometimes the shot just looks a little ugly. Podz, it's not even like herky-jerky. It's actually very smooth, like any shot doctor would say.
I don't think he has bad technique.
It just you're right. It takes a minute to load, and he just doesn't really pull up a ton. Actually, the number was 80%, 84% of his threes last year he was assisted on. So he was not someone that was confident pulling up from 3, or it was something that he didn't do a lot off the dribble. But the mid-range game is where he really needs to improve in that pull-up game. Just be more consistent, be more willing to take it, because it's clear he's making them when no one's watching, in a larger sample size. Because Steve Kerr wanted him to take 8 to 10 entering this season, and Steve Kerr knows who can shoot and who can't. He's not telling some people on the team, but let 8 to 10 fire per game. So let's get into his deceleration. Let's try that again. Brandin Podziemski, very good at it, as is Steph Curry. Let's talk about what that means and some other areas that he can improve, plus Quentin Post and his role. It's coming up on Locked On Warriors. Tell you about one of our sponsors. It is Monarch Money. If you haven't heard about Monarch Money, I'm here to tell you all about it and why you should take control of your finances right now. Do us a favor. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. And let's get into why you'd want to do that. You can't probably name all your financial accounts, especially when you consider like subscriptions and all the different things you're paying for. You don't know exactly what your net worth is. Sometimes you're leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one place. Consolidation, clean, easy to use interface on your laptop or on your phone. It's built for busy people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is here for you. It helps you out big time, and you can also share your accounts, which is huge with your partner or significant other. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com. Use code LOCKEDONNBA. All right, let's talk some deceleration from Brandin Podziemski. In basketball, it's it's one of the most underrated skills that you can think of. The ability to just control your movement, change direction suddenly, balance. It's not only big offensively, but it's crucial on the defensive side as well. Bounce is important, but you can get by without bounce to some degree with just knowing where to be and being a little bit shifty. It's like a knuckleballer in baseball, you know? Sometimes inconsistent. You can shell them for 20 runs, but they keep you on your toes, and that's what a defensive guy like Podz can do. But teammates are good teammates of other decelerators, basically through their shooting capabilities, their finishing, and smart movement. Those are the ideal components that you want to really utilize from someone like Podz. So, all right, smart movement, shooting, finishing, that literally labels Steph Curry to a T. So are they a good complement to one another? Do you buy into the fact that maybe Podz is too small and shouldn't be playing with Steph, that sort of thing, although the numbers say that's not really true?
Yeah, I mean, I'm someone who was kind of running with that narrative when they first started putting Podz in the starting lineup, but as you mentioned, the numbers as the season progressed didn't necessarily show that to be a major issue. My other concern is just how vulnerable is the defense to me more than the offensive side, which you're talking about, Chuck, is how vulnerable is the defense with Steph Curry and Brandin Podziemski starting. And that was going to be another area. So not to take this another direction, but that was another area that I was going to bring up with Podz. I think what we've seen from Podz in his first two seasons is a really good team defender, generally pretty smart in terms of where to be, how to slide, when to move, when to help. Like generally, of course, there have been moments. I would love to see him continue to improve as an on-ball defender, work a little bit on some of the lateral quickness. I still think you see moments where faster guards can certainly attack Brandin Podziemski and take advantage on a blow-by. Generally, he does a good job, I think, of making up for that lack of speed by just being smart. And so I think there is an upside to Brandin Podziemski, but I still think he could hone in on a little bit of the on-ball defending. Can he hone in on a little bit of even just patience in terms of his defending, and the decision making goes on both offense and defense, like the defensive side, like when is the right moment to jump the passing lane? When is the right moment to be more aggressive? When is the right moment to play more conservative? When exactly do you drop off and double team someone in the paint? And when do you? So I think that both offensively and defensively, decision making is a big thing. And that goes into play with the shooting as well. I just mentioned, like, I think he's better, maybe not off the dribble, but I think that he should work on being able to hit in the mid-range off the dribble.
Oh,
just
that and the
one or
floater
two
would
dribbles.
unlock everything.
Yeah, just a floater,
everything.
1 or 2 dribble, being able to put up a shot and drain it, I think would be huge for Brandin Podziemski. But then that still comes back to decision-making, being able to determine when is the right moment to put the ball on the floor, even a couple dribbles, and then pull up and find your shot. When is the right moment to take your own shot? When is the right moment to facilitate? Because I also thought there were times where I wanted to see Brandin Podziemski even be a little bit more selfish and take it himself. While he's a great facilitator, I think that's been a positive to his game. I still would love to like fine tune a little bit of the decision making, and that's natural for a player who's only been in the NBA for 2 years. But I do think he could take it to another level as he continues to refine that, and I think that goes into play both offensively and defensively. But to me, the Steph Curry, Brandin Podziemski duo, the bigger concern is the defensive side than the fit offensively. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree. I want to get into something else with Pajimsky though, real quick. It's it's been on my mind. I've been looking up. So I'd be lying if I said the last 15 seconds of what you were saying went out to the lovely audience of Locked On Warriors, but not to my brain. I was looking at Rip Hamilton and his ability to get to the free throw line, and I'm just thinking of Podz because he's solid free throw shooter once he gets there. I'm not looking up the exact numbers, but I would imagine he's like 80+%, something along those lines. And it's not a huge part of his game, but with how deceptive he is, and like we were saying, the deceleration in today's foul baiting era, Rip was never like a foul baiter. He was just great with his movement and body control. I think Podz can get to the line and be that pest where other teams are like, God, that Pajimsky dude got to the line like 9 times and they were not fouls. You know, he was just like wiggling around.
I think that plays again into the confidence, aggression, and decision making that he needs to hone in on, because there were times this past season where you can see him use that craftiness on the dribble to initially penetrate, but then there's a hesitation before taking a pull-up shot. There's a hesitation before driving all the way to the basket and really aggressively trying to finish through contact or weave through traffic, where he would instead pull it back out, toss it back out to someone beyond the arc. Where I think if he had a little bit more confidence and a little bit of refined decision-making skills, and where I can read the defense, I see what they're giving me, and I also have the confidence to take advantage of what they're giving me, whether it be a midi pull-up, whether it be a runner in the lane, a floater, whether it be I'm going to drive all the way to the basket and I'm going to try to weave between these two guys, I'm going to switch hands and finish on my left. I think that he's a player who has that kind of potential, but I just don't think he's quite there yet. To me, I think just a little bit of hesitation and lack of aggression last season in some of those moments where he would pull it back out or kick it back out rather than go through with making the more aggressive offensive play.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's knowing his spots, which I think he'll get better at as he gets older, but less dribbling, more of everything that makes him so good. The quick decisions, the connecting. We always hear that word, connecting the offense, cutting. Because once Jimmy joined the team and his role scaled back a little bit, it didn't feel like the statistics back up that he was really good. And don't forget, there was the sickness, the alleged gas station sushi in Houston.
You love bringing up the gas station sushi.
I don't
That's
even
the
know.
guy who indulges on some Safeway or Kroger sushi.
Yeah, I've had many corn dogs from street vendors over the years. No shame in it whatsoever. Yes, a microwaved corn dog. Sign me up. Take me to the county fair.
I know. How about that 7-Eleven pizza?
Oh, 7-Eleven pizza. In case there's any sponsorships in the works or anything like that, I'm not going to say anything about 7-Eleven pizza, but I can make an expression. Anyway,
I love 7-Eleven pizza, for the record. Or no, sorry. I love 7-Eleven, but not their pizza. That's where I was going with that. I love 7-Eleven and I'm a frequenter of 7-Eleven. But the story is that 7-Eleven, I popped in to grab a couple things. Again, big fan. 7-Eleven sponsor the show. But they had a deal where it was $2.50 for a slice of pizza or $5 for a whole pizza. So I was like, you know what? For another $3, it was a ridiculous, maybe not $5, but it was $7. I'm like, dude, what's another $5 versus this one little slice for the whole pizza? And I was like, you know what? I'm hungry. And I kind of thought about buying the slice. So I bought the whole pizza and brought it home. And for those who are unaware, Charlie and I are married. And I thought that I was doing a good deed. Hey, you want a surprise piece of pizza at lunch? We don't eat pizza very often at all. We love it, but we're trying to be healthy individuals. And it turned out to be the worst pizza I've ever had. So end of the story. It's back to Brandin Podziemski, but that was I shouldn't say it's the stupidest thing I've ever done, but that was a really stupid thing I did. It's up there.
It was a value play. We spent worse money, as has everyone.
It was $7 at the end of the day, but I was like, oh, bad decision.
All right, let's get into some Quentin Post talk coming up. The chess champion, why his smarts should help him out as he enters his second season, and whether the limitations, the physical limitations that he may have, whether that could hold him back or whether he's going to take a big step next season. Kylen's laughing. We'll continue to laugh coming up on Locked On Warriors. All right, let's tell you about our sponsor, Doer. Now is the time to start thinking about Doer. Mention code LOCKEDONSF in store for 15% off your first order. You can go to shopdoer.com/LockedOnSF. But first, you got to know what Doer is, and you got to see what Doer is for yourself. My favorite jean, the Performance Denim Slim Stretch. It's got, 5 times the stretch of traditional denim, so you get that nice athletic wear. But look, you can wear this thing anywhere. It's versatile. You can wear it in a dressy occasion with a jacket. You can wear it to the beach. You can wear it anywhere and everywhere. That's a great thing about Doer. Also, antibacterial means they stay fresh longer. You can wear more and wash less, and they regulate your temperatures, which wicks away moisture. It's just a good jean, and you can walk there in person, drive there, whatever it may be. If you are close to Hayes Valley, they are opening up a brand new store August 29th. Head over to 567 Hayes Street. Mention my code LOCKEDONSF in store. You'll get 15% off your first order. Or if you're not close to Hayes Valley, shop Doer.com/LockedOnSF. That is Doer, Duer, You'll get 15% off online. Trust me, once you try them, you will not want to wear anything else. Let's talk a little Quentin Post, the 7-foot sharpshooter and now a chess champion. Channels his inner Magnus Carlsen. Do you know who Magnus Carlsen is, Kylen?
Should I?
Well, back in my, this is a good one for the folks listening. Back in my gambling stages, and let's just say we enjoyed spread hunting quite a bit. Kylen knows all about it, and I got into a little chess for a minute there because Magnus Carlsen was always just winning left and right. And I found out one time that a chess event apparently was like multiple days, or it was a tournament. I don't know. Anyway, so
it's a tournament. Even I know that.
I was waiting for a bet to cash for like 8 days, but Carlsen came through. Anyways, Kylen, Quentin Post, chess champion, smart. Is he smart on the floor? It's a small sample size, but it seems so. Great asset to own. I mean, 7-footers that can legit shoot do not grow on trees. And I mean, he is a legit 40% three-point shooter. For a human being that size, probably the most impressive shooter I've seen with my own two eyes in quite some time. Can do it off the dribble, too. He's nice. And we said last year, a direct quote, Kolsky and myself, he was like, if Quentin Post is a part of this year's team's success plan, then this year's team's not going to be very good. And, that was somewhat fair in his rookie season. But, I mean, he may not be crucial come postseason this year, but through 82 games, QP is big for this year's Warriors team as a backup center, potentially as a starter. Who knows what happens? But how we feeling about Quentin Post?
I'm feeling like the Warriors need to add a big in the front court, but I am a broken record in saying that because we've been saying that all offseason. We've been saying that all last season. What, Chuck?
Horford's that big that we assume. So assume that Horford's 25 minutes and QP's
I'm not assuming anything at this point because you know what they say about assuming. I'm not going to say it, but
yes, it makes an ass out of you and me.
Post, though, if they don't get Al Horford, I mean, Quentin Post is going to have a massive role. I think Quentin Post is a good guy to have on the roster who you don't have to pay a ton of money from, but also has a ton of potential and upside and can absolutely have moments in games where he's going to play a big role. What Quentin Post needs to do this offseason, and I hope he was doing all summer, is working on strength training, putting on some weight and specifically some muscle. Where I saw, especially the area of his game that I saw exposed in the postseason, was Quentin Post just needing to get a little bit tougher and a little bit stronger with some of the bigs that he's going to have to battle against in the NBA. I think that strength training would greatly help his finishing ability, his ability to go up and just battle with the best of them on the boards, his interior defense. I just think top to bottom, adding a little bit of strength will improve his physicality in addition to, just adjusting with a year under his belt now in the NBA. So you adjust as you approach another season in terms of acclimating to that physicality compared to what it was like in college. But I hope that he's put on some weight. I hope that he's put on some muscle. Like if Quentin Post comes back ripped, I actually would be a little scared if I'm other teams. I mean, he's 7 foot. I think he was only like 230 last year, right around. So like he could definitely put on some muscle. Like if Quentin Post came in yoked, I'd be like, oh, he
is a massive human being. No doubt. I think in addition to hitting the weights, another thing he needs to do is like seriously, some of that vinyasa, some of that yoga, some of that, quite frankly, lateral type movements where he can work on his lateral mobility, his lateral quickness, just things that to a certain degree, you usually have it or you don't, but you can always work on that when you know it's a weakness. And that clearly, when he's switched out on the perimeter, is something that Al Horford's supposed to be able to do pretty well, assuming the father time doesn't, get him that quickly, because he was good last season on switches from anyone that watched a lot of Celtics games, whereas Post, like that was a clear weakness of his, along with what you mentioned, just finishing around the rim and stopping people around the rim. But he's a true rover. He hangs out around the 3-point line. That's not a fluke. That is what he does. And struggled in the playoffs, just 31%, but did have a game where he went for 4. So I'm excited to see what QP can do this season.
Another thing, can I add one other thing? Like I think that Quentin Post also really needs to improve on his true post moves on the low block. Like if Quentin Post added a hook shot to his arsenal, how lethal would he be? Sorry, I didn't mean to get you mid-sip.
No,
Like,
no.
I just
Just
think
saying,
that would be huge for his
he's
game.
not on the block a ton.
What?
He's not on the block a whole
I
ton.
know, but the Warriors don't have an interior scorer. They don't have a true low block scorer. They don't. The Warriors do not have anyone right now on this roster who is a true post finisher. Again, post moves, post score, whatever you want to say. He's the stretch five. Draymond Green is not a scorer, period. He's relished for his defensive abilities, and then we'll get some, isolated baskets. But if Quentin Post added that to his game, I think that would be a huge asset for the Warriors, or if he at least just improved upon the post moves, even if he's still a stretch five and that doesn't have to be his bread and butter. But I'm just saying, if you could mix in a little hook shot, mix in doing a little something down low, little something,
Just finishing against smaller defenders.
He's 7 feet. He's 7
feet.
Can
punish a team that throws a 6'7" forward on him.
Right. So exactly in the moments where you do get the height mismatch,
he's not scoring on Gobert with his post moves, but
no, but maybe, I said, I just hope that that's something that he continues to work on, because yes, the outside shot's great and he should continue to bring that to the floor. But I think it would be great for him to just diversify his offensive game. And that means trying to work on the ways that he can score and the variety of ways that he can score. And that includes scoring closer to the basket. And whether it be some of what we're talking about in terms of finishing around the rim by adding strength, or also just adding some post moves, or maybe, like I said, just some other types of shots to his arsenal.
Yep. So footwork and strength and bulking up, I guess strength, bulking up, same umbrella. Those are two things that he has been said to have worked on a ton this offseason. So it will be interesting to see. And you use the word yoked. I mean, if Tony Horton and Sean T and all these celebrity trainers, the big ones nowadays, I don't know, can get people yoked in 90 days, then all you need is a summer, QP. Watch what you eat and you'll be golden. I do feel like I've seen pictures of him, though, recently enough to where he just looked like he got a tan. There wasn't much muscle being packed on to where it was that noticeable. But he's a huge dude. Sometimes it's hard for those people to put on muscle, and there's a reason why he hangs out around the perimeter, because he's good at it. He's good at it.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. That's why I think the Warriors drafted him. That's why I think, again, based on what he's getting paid, I think he's still a good option that you want to have on the bench this season, who can go in and potentially get hot and really stretch the defense, and which also clears out the lane for a player like a Jimmy Butler, since the Warriors do have someone at least who can score inside. Now, granted, Jimmy Butler's not a true post, but he can post his defender up, especially when he gets a shorter guy on him, and he certainly can score inside. So Quentin Post has a major role for this team. I think coming in off the bench, preferably. I don't know that Quentin Post is a starter on a championship caliber team. We've gone back and forth on this, and I think we could go down this road for a while. But I think a great option off the bench for sure, in a player who has a high upside, since he's so, I say young. I think he's 24, 25 because he was in college for so long. These COVID years are killing me. So young relative to time spent in the NBA, I'm just going to say, because he's now heading into his second season.
Yeah, got a unique skill set, that's for sure.
8-4. He averaged right about 8-4. I think it was 8 points, 4 rebounds per game. That's not bad for a rookie season.
No, and I wonder, what I think he should do is they should give him some Maxime Moreno tape for that pump fake that he has. That pump Moreno, and then just. Well, they're the same exact size. They're both European.
Chuck's never recovered from the Warriors not drafting Maxime.
No, it's fine. I didn't expect him to be there. So when they traded the pick, I was like, well, whatever. And then he drops there, and I'm like, what are you doing? But he definitely has that skill set of being able to, just the pump fake, put a couple dribbles up and pull up from 12 feet or whatever. And Post probably not as quick, and it may be clunky, but we've seen him do it from the 3-point line, where he'll let someone fly past him, take a couple dribbles to the left and just knock it down. So he's got a little something in there, maybe not to that degree, but if he could keep you honest doing that or add that to his arsenal a bit, it would be interesting to see. Kylen, any final thoughts?
Look, I don't think the Warriors are in a terrible position to be in with the group that they have now. They were potentially a Western Conference Finals team last year if Steph Curry had been healthy and they'd been able to overcome the Minnesota Timberwolves, which there is still some debate as to whether they for sure would have or would not have, but it was very much a winnable series with Steph Curry. It becomes much more difficult without Steph Curry. But so you look at this roster being a Western Conference Finals potential team, and like, you're not in bad shape. I think we all just wanted this team to maximize Steph Curry by adding that one or two pieces, the depth, the other big player who's going to really take this team to the point of being a championship contender. But like, you're not in a bad spot. And if some of these young players like a Brandin Podziemski, like a Quentin Post, take a significant step forward this year, you're in an even better stop. My big question mark, which is for another day, is what is the dynamic going to look like with Jonathan Kaminga? How do you get a player to buy in after all that we know that has gone on in the contract back and forth, negotiations, non-negotiations? Like, I have real and legitimate concerns about what JK's role will be. A lot of this offseason has hung in the balance on what his contract would be. Charlie's ready to log out. But also, like, let's look ahead now. And if he's on this team, like, what does that look like? What is his role? How do they make that work from a culture standpoint of a player who has pretty much made clear that he wants to be a superstar somewhere else, or at least the opportunity to be a star who has bigger minutes because he feels like he can be a superstar somewhere else? I think that's the dynamic that could make or break this season.
Yeah, and I think that's where Kylen just kind of revealed behind the curtains that she hasn't been listening to her share of Locked On Warriors lately, because we've had to talk about it a lot this summer.
I know.
Unfortunately, a whole lot. And I'm going to take a long weekend holiday of probably no content because, you know, nothing's happened. But I'm going to take a long weekend to not think about that. And then, and then when we come back next week, hopefully it'll be nearing the end. October 1st, the absolute latest it can go if you have not been paying attention. But that's still a long time away. So we'll see developments on that. Kylen, thank you for joining the program.
He may be on this team. He very well may be on this team come day one of training camp, Chuck. I'm just saying, good night, everybody.
Good night.
Or good day. Or good morning whenever you're
Yep.
listening.
Thank you.